Hi, I'm Andrew. I'm from a group called Scratch at Viacom. Real quickly, what is Scratch? So we're a creative consultancy inside Viacom that essentially takes everything that's great at what Viacom does, our consumer connection, our audience insights, our culture making, our content creation, and starts to apply that externally to solve major problems for our partners' business. Sometimes that means brand strategy and marketing strategy. Sometimes that means research and insights. Sometimes it looks like content creation and communication plans. And sometimes we get the pleasure of looking at stuff like this.
We gotta call the aquarium or something.
Ava Longoria.
Yes.
Blue Diamond Phillips.
Yes.
I love you a lot.
Thank you for joining us as we continue the war on bullshit.
Better angle.
I have decided in 2020 to run for president.
Okay, so I said we do a lot of things at Scratch, so I would be lying if I said that I came here to just share my favorite internet memes with you, but I get to there. And when we start seeing things like rats with pizza fetishes and slow motion Jello tennis start to capture a lot of attention, it actually raises a big question for us. In the attention economy that we're all trading in, why do certain things break through? And why do others miss the mark? So that's what's prompted us to develop this new consumer intelligence study, what I'm here and excited to share with you today around the dynamics of the attention economy. How we get it, keep it, share it, and ultimately identify when we have it. Right now in New York, we're bringing these insights to life in an interactive multi-sensory exhibit inside Viacom's headquarters. And today I'm excited to share some of these findings with you. So if you read the popular press, you've probably read about a crisis of attention. And I just heard Gail talking about it. There's more things than ever vying for our attention, to see, to do, to be a part of. And no doubt technology is fueling a culture of distraction. And with more platforms out to view more content than ever, it's no surprise that people are calling this a crisis. But our study revealed something interesting, that consumers don't feel that overwhelmed by it. In fact, they feel like they're in the driver's seat, confidently navigating the noise, tuning out the things that don't matter most, and tuning into the things they love, and going deeper than ever. You see that 3/4 of people here say their ability to pay attention is getting better or staying constant. And 70% of them think they are paying the right amount of attention to the things in their lives, which obviously caused us to ask a different question. Whose crisis is it anyway? One thing is certain, our jobs as marketers, brand builders, content creators has never been more challenging. But when you do break through, the reward can be bigger and better than ever. You and I both know it when we see it. Robust audiences coming to the table, fans going deeper than ever before and fully committed when they do. Almost 1/4 of the people that we surveyed reported binge watching their favorite shows for 8 hours or more. So behavior like this caused us to look further in what's behind attention. And it started to cause us to think about redefining what a hit means today. When you look across industries, attention can be defined in many different ways. And that's largely because it's based on what you want to do with it. Obviously, a neurologist and a neuroscientist is thinking about attention as a way to promote brain function, which is vastly different than what a magician might use attention for. For content creators, it's about engagement. How can we connect with our fans in the most compelling and meaningful ways? How do we make it worth their time? But it's not enough to just say engagement. It's important that we understand the building blocks underneath it. And for us, it sits in 3 components: see, feel, and own. So fans don't just see what your brands produce. They feel something about it. And they begin to own the experiences they have with your content. So let's start with see. When it comes to getting consumers to see your content, context matters. That means delivering it to them in just the right way at just the right time. What people consume is shaped by experience and memory. from the cartoons they loved as kids to what they had for lunch just moments ago. And in the case of this video you're watching here, a Brazilian coffee company, Café Pele, understood the power behind the contagion of a yawn and was able to deliver their brand promise against it. Or look at Spotify Moments product. You might already be familiar with it. It takes into account where you are, what time of day it is, and other behaviors to deliver contextually relevant song recommendations. With each of these interactions, Spotify is paying so much attention to what you're doing, they're delivering something of what you want before you even know it. But it's not enough to get people seeing your content. You have to get them to feel something about it too, to strike an emotional chord with them. And our research revealed that when people come together to feel something about the same thing, moments that tap into the collective consciousness, while they're rare, they have the power for lasting impact and lasting attention. And you can see that here with the 61% stat. Certainly the VMAs this year, between the Justin Bieber tear-evoking performance to Kanye's mic drop moment, showed that there was a national collective conversation taking place. Or look at Serial, the podcast that brought a whole new audience to an old school platform. And whether you were tuning in because you were curious about the story headline, or the fear of missing out was weighing on you and you felt like you just had to be a part of that conversation, this podcast captured the nation's attention. It was the fastest podcast to receive 5 million downloads in iTunes history. And now, nearly a year later, Serial is still averaging 1 million downloads a month. When fans love your content, participation ensues, and they begin owning the experience with it. And that's good news for all of us, I think, because today there are more fans of more things than ever before. And when these niche fandoms turn passion into action, sometimes it can reach to the level of identity formation. 66% of millennials we survey say that fandom is an expression of themselves or their values. This kind of ownership and the creativity it inspires, whether it's the rage of nail art or grown men dressing up like little ponies, can draw more attention to the thing you already created in the first place and do a lot of the work for you. Our study also revealed that 67% of millennials are part of a fan community of their favorite TV show. So this is why you see platforms like Tumblr start to find new ways to start to capture the conversation around fan favorites, around entertainers and entertainment. It's a pretty cool site. You guys should check it out. Which brings us to the biggest question of all, I think. How do you know you've got it? How do you actually know when someone is paying attention to you? Well, it's kind of a trick question. Attention isn't really binary. It's not as simple as having two eyes looking at you. Of course, if you're having dinner with a friend, it's easy to tell if he or she is paying attention to you. But when you're trying to measure that on a massive scale, it's pretty difficult. And the lack of a proximity makes measuring engagement difficult to measure. Current methods of quantification don't really take into account the way that we might connect with a piece of comedy on our iPhone would be different than when we sit on our couch and watch a news broadcast. These nuances need to be explored, and technology is allowing us to do so. I'm pleased to give you a quick sneak peek at some pilot research we've just come out of field with, where we're starting to map a more complex framework of attention, one that factors in focus, emotional connection, and memory. And as you might be able to tell here, early findings do indicate that different genres of content begin to create different kinds of attention states. In the attention economy that we all live in, for us it's more than just numbers. We're moving beyond simply counting impressions to making and leaving them. Did your fans see, feel, jump in, and own a new experience? Thank you.